Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer, for the humbling privilege to lend my voice to this useful and decent motion. I would want to commend the Secretary for Health, Wellness and Social Protection for bringing this motion. I think it demonstrates a kind of situational sensitivity as we attempt to grapple with the challenges of optimizing our social support for people in these difficult days. May I also commend the Chief Secretary who leads from the front and has mandated us in this team to fix this Tobago space with the deliberate intent of actually making Tobago the best little island on the planet. All across the divisions, fixing work has been taking place, though we must admit that our enthusiasm, our expertise, and even the mandates that we all had could not have effectively prepared us for the magnitude of the work that we have been engaged in and must continue to engage. But we are up to the challenge, though. I think the people of Tobago has installed us into this political kingdom for such a time like this. Hence, we must do everything in our power to make life better for them. And none of us here could have adequately prepared for COVID-19 and its attendant fallout. And we have to be thankful for minds like the mover of the motion, Dr. Faith, and several others who have, as they say, take night and make day in alerting us and educating us and guiding us during one of the most difficult seasons in the history of our existence here in this place we call Tobago. But you know, despite all the good work that has been done in community development, youth and sport, and I suspect in all the other divisions, it is our reasoned view that the provisions of social services can improve, and a centralized model, which we now call case conferencing, is in fact ideal. Essentially, it is what I call a social service clearinghouse, a central place that will aid us in optimal social service delivery. I must admit, though, that, and I'm a little bit, I kind of was caught off guard, in all honesty, because in more recent times there have been some dull minds in the space, men that were intellectually and mentally delayed, in my view, who suggests that we have been doing nothing, we have done nothing in the 4 months to improve the lives of our people. Some have been so negative that if you put them in a dark room, they will develop into a photo. However, though, we shall illuminate the space with innovative and dynamic ideas to improve the standard of living in this place that we call Tobago. And you know, I have to confess, Madam Presiding Officer, I came today all prepared to bowl a full spell, because this is my maiden contribution in this August House. But I was caught a little bit off guard with the expeditious management of time by the mover of the motion and even by the minority side. So I think it may not be beautiful or even fashionable for me to be inordinately long, though the temptation is there. But suffice it to say, Madam Presiding Officer, a lot has been done in most of the divisions, and the data is there to prove it, and I don't want to go into too much over there in community development, especially. There is so much that has been done in vocational skills training to assist our people. You know, we've done a lot with virtual platforms training. We've done a lot with Y zones and virtual programs, Y camp and virtual virtual programs, retooling and revitalization. As it relates to our community councils and so on. In the Department of Youth, you know, and I have to commend the Assistant Secretary, Mr. Wayne Clark, for the work he has been doing in the Department of Youth and Sport. He has been, yes, he has gone in there and taken the bull by his horns, and he's a worker, and has been doing a considerable amount of work in trying to optimize that section of the division and get stuff done. You know, some 40% of the population, we are told, are young people that have been affected in adversely by COVID-19 and so on. And you know, when we look at some of the negative things, the attendance and participation of youth groups and other development activities, that has been affected because greater focus is now placed on survival rather than engaging in healthy activity. A number and type of programs which could be implemented due to the new digital modes that have to be used now has been one of the issues. The level of volunteerism as a result of the reduced wages and unemployment has been affected in a significant way. And we've done a lot of retraining of young people and so on. The point I'm trying to make, Madam Presiding Officer, is that we have spared no time in trying to do the best that we can under the circumstances to serve our communities. And you know, we have coming on stream what we call the Youth Information Management System, YIMS. As you know, we are fascinated by these acronyms. And it provides a digital platform for the registration of youth organizations and individual young persons in our youth registry database. The systems will allow the division to obtain information directly from our youth through surveys and assessments to inform programming, program planning, implementation, among other things. This database actually is now populated with some 845 young persons, and we have an ambitious goal to try and register all 24,000 plus young people in Tobago. And I think because of our drive and the various minds that we have in this new administration, and this is something that is doable. I mean, as well, we have been trying to provide assistance for several youth organizations and so on in Tobago. Just because of the time issue, I don't want to go into all that information, but the point I'm trying to make with this is to refute the claims of some who say that we have not been doing anything since we took office, since we came into these divisions last December. And so what I'm speaking of here, while I'm focusing on community development, I am sure that the same information can be found in all the divisions across this THA. In the Department of Sport, I think I really wanted to say this, that we have endeavored to improve health conditions for individuals through the introduction of physical activities in communities, to develop functioning facilities to assist with the development of high-performance athletes. The key focus is sport for development and the development of sport. And of course, we have some programs that we put in place to have a healthy and physically active Tobago, with the understanding of the benefits of being physically active. And this is important because just a few days ago, I was going into my office and there was the elevator malfunction. So I became very, very, I said, let me be scientific and try to speedily ascend the 3 floors. And by the time I got to the first flight, I was huffing and puffing. And I realized how unfit I am. And so the optimizing of sporting facilities and so on, and for us to be encouraged to engage in these activities is a matter of paramount importance to our population, notwithstanding that COVID-19 has caused many of us to be in our homes and so on, consuming an enormous amount of food. And many of us, our clothes retail costs has gone up exponentially. Many of our people, many of the ladies are in frustration when they look at their wardrobes now, because some of those fancy dresses and skirts and so on that normally would have fitted so nicely, they need to go and to visit the stores because of the consumption over that time they were in those enclosed spaces. So the issue of exercise and the provision of those things, the provision of facilities for that to happen is a matter that is very, very important. So I said all of this to say, Madam Presiding Officer, that in spite of all the things that we have been doing in the division, whether in community development in itself, in the USH department, in the youth department, in the sport department, and the several things that we have done, what we have decided, our reasoned conclusion is that we can and we must do more. And so, Madam Presiding Officer, I would just like to share some of the benefits of us implementing this system. And they are just as follows. Benefit number 1, when we implement this interesting and innovative system, which we now call the social, the conferencing. The convenience for clients seeking services, and Dr. Faith alluded to that a while ago. Now, one of the challenges that we are facing is people having to go in all these different places and so on. Even if they're doing social service shopping, this centralized clearinghouse is going to help us with convenience. I think, and that is a positive thing. The second thing is precision as it relates to the provision of the services. Precision. Because you'll have all the minds in one space, and all those cases will be treated and addressed by the experts in the space, and that, to me, will help to treat with some of the ills of not being able to address the issues and the concerns of people, sometimes even in a timely manner. The other thing is the minimizing of double dipping. we have to confess, no matter how difficult or how sad a situation, there are always going to be some individuals that try to take advantage of the situation. And we are finding that there are some tricksters in the system. Yes, there are some tricksters in the system. I don't know what it is, but there's a kind of mind-boggling, it's a kind of offensive kind of greed that is in the society that bothers me. That there are people who are well off. There are people who can do better. But because a system is there, they find some way to trick themselves into the system, to take advantage of services because it is government. We have seen that we talked about the food card issue. There are people that have no business having food card. And the people that really need the service does not seem to have it. And so these are some of our concerns, that we will be able to minimize this business of double dipping. We also, another benefit is that there will be significant time reduction in case assessment and the provision of services. And this one I like. This fifth one. Implementing this system, this case conferencing model, will be a useful object lesson for the possible introduction of a community secretariat in every district across Tobago. And let me explain that a little bit. One of the conversations that we've been having at the division is, and to try to treat with optimizing the usage of community centers and so on, is to make these places like a secretariat in the particular district, where individuals can go and get certain services. In other words, people like in Charlottesville and Lansom and his places come into Scarborough to get an affidavit done, to get some kind of legal document done, and to know about the different services that the THA offers, instead of I had to go in Bacalet and then Shaw Park and then Crown Point and all of that, that these community centers can be like a central place, a secretariat, a central clearinghouse where people can get that kind of information. And I think that this model can be a good reference point for that. The next thing, Madam Presiding Officer, is the introduction of SOPs, and I learned this today. Standard operating procedures relating to the delivery of the service. And this must be a critical thing, because this provides an opportunity to eliminate deficiency in the monitoring and the evaluation of the regimes that we have related to the delivery of the services. And I think in most cases, there's a lack of the requisite tools to carry out the function, and that contributes to the deficiency. So hence, there is a need for SOPs that are user-friendly for the times that we now live in, with all the IT support and all the other scientific tools that are needed for such an initiative. And, of course, Madam Presiding Officer, the collective wisdom and intellect that can be found in a central space. You know, all of us have been called, and there are some cases that when you are called, you have no clue, you have no point of reference, you don't know how to even begin to address those things. And I think that having these lettered minds in the same place will assist greatly in treating with some of these complex situations. And the final benefit, Madam Presiding Officer, that this particular system is consistent with international best practice as it relates to the provision of social services. And of course, it is married to our mandate in making Tobago, of course, the greatest little island on the planet. In summary, this case conferencing model is indicative of how this administration intends to deliver services to this place we call Tobago. This model speaks to convenience. It speaks to precision. It speaks to the minimizing of system abuse, time reduction to service delivery, relevant standard operating procedures or SOPs, and collective wisdom. I would like to say, Madam Presiding Officer, that I therefore support this motion wholeheartedly. And we in the Division of Community Development, Youth and Sport stand ready to play our role in the realization of this initiative. I thank you.